Staying with the narcissist. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The first golden rule of freedom is once you know, you go, you get out and you stay out. The principle of go so. This has been developed as this is the most effective thing to do when you realize that you have an entanglement with a narcissist. There are lots of different entanglements that can take place. The one that most people know about is a romantic entanglement. They also happen within a familial environment, a social environment, a work environment, a neighbour environment. All of those entanglements have a cost associated with them. But what of the situation where you decide that you're going to stay with the narcissist? Often, there is a particular rationale behind doing so. Namely, I can't afford to live elsewhere, or I'm reliant upon the narcissist for an income, or I want to be there to protect the children. I don't want the children to have two homes. I worry about what would happen to the children if they're left alone with the narcissist. At least if I am there, I am able to do something about protecting them. Or I don't want to leave where I work. Why should I when I've not done anything wrong? Why should I be the one that has to miss out on family events just because this person within the family is difficult? I don't want to move house because of my difficult neighbour. Why should I? I like this house. I like the other neighbours. Those, and many other reasons besides, are often advanced as a reason not to apply the principle of go so. All of those are driven by emotional thinking. Emotional thinking is decision-making in the absence of logic, and it will seize upon whatever it can to keep you in a position whereby you stay with the narcissist. Where you have an addiction to the narcissist by virtue of being an empath, your addiction sits at the heart of you wanting to be fed, and it wants you to enter one or more of the 5 arenas of interaction, and in so doing, it wants you to stay in them for as long as possible. The more arenas you enter, the more you feed your addiction. The longer you stay in those arenas, the longer the addiction gets fed for. Conversely, stay out of many of them, the addiction does not get fed as much. Stay out of them all, and for a sustained period, your addiction hates it. And it kicks and screams like a tantruming child in order to get its way. And what it does, it seeks through a triple threat of flawed logic, corruption of traits, and charging of the battery of feeling to get you to stay with the narcissist. And those various reasons that I advance are all examples of flawed logic. No matter how sensible or rational it may seem to you, they are not in the face of staying with somebody who is abusing you. If you remain with the narcissist, whether it is continuing to live with them, continue to be in a relationship with them, continue to work with them, continue to interact with them as a neighbour, continue to interact with them through a familial dynamic, the following will be applicable. First of all, you will continue to give the narcissist fuel, which means the narcissist wins. Oh, I hear you playing the grey rock card. Well, I promptly now rip it up. Grey rock does not work because you are not designed to turn into an individual that shows no emotional response whatsoever. You might be able to regulate what you say. You may stay quiet, but the look in your eyes, your facial expression, your body language will betray you, and thus that still provides us with fuel. Want to know why grey rock doesn't work? Watch my video of that name. Thus, you always, in some shape or form, give us fuel when you stay with the narcissist, which means we win. You are also going to increase the likelihood of you being hoovered. The more that you interact with us, the more that you are going to come up on our radar, which means that if we're not physically with you, you're more likely to prompt a response. Thus, if you continue to remain in a relationship with a narcissist that you don't live with, the fact that you continue to Be in that relationship means that you will come up on the radar, which means that you're more likely to be hoovered, and that means you're going to experience the interference. Furthermore, if you remain with the narcissist, you will suffer some kind of adverse consequence. If you're the intimate partner primary source, you will get the full horror of the sustained devaluation, with all of the malign manipulations that come with that, which I deal with extensively in my various videos. If you're an intimate partner secondary source, you'll be an afterthought, the other man or the other woman. You'll always come second best, waiting for that telephone call, wondering when you're going to hear from the narcissist. Where you're a non-intimate secondary source, you will similarly find yourself on the shelf, wondering when you're going to hear from the narcissist. You'll find yourself used in certain circumstances, used for lifts, used for money, because the narcissist simply regards you as an appliance. You will be subjected to corrective devaluations. As the neighbour of a narcissist, you may find yourself subjected to them playing loud music, not taking their rubbish out, having a dog that comes and shits all over your lawn. The fact is, by continuing to have some form of interaction with the narcissist, you will be exposed at some juncture to more and more adverse behaviours, and you simply don't deserve it. The other aspect is that where you're an empathic victim, each of these interactions will continue to increase your emotional thinking, resulting in you making further bad decisions. Thus, there are those who think to themselves, I can handle the narcissist. I have learned from your work, HG. I now know what I'm dealing with. I know all about the manipulations. Well, you're certainly in a better place than somebody who doesn't know what they're dealing with, but you should still be looking to make your escape. The fact is, by staying with the narcissist, you're exposing yourself to all of those points that I've made, and the fact is that no matter how well read you are, your logic will not have the chance to come forward if you are repeatedly pouring more emotional thinking your own way as a consequence of the continued involvement. Yes, you can reduce the downsides of staying with the narcissist by minimalizing your involvement with them. So, for example, if you stay in a relationship, you don't see them as often, and when you do so for a short period of time. If you're living with the narcissist, you spend time in other rooms, spend time out of the house, spend time occupied with the children, rather than dealing with them. But it is not a complete solution, and is not one that ordinarily ought to be embraced. The narcissist will look to provoke you. The narcissist will look to do things to stimulate a response from you, indeed, ratcheting up their manipulative grip upon you in order to make you respond. The fact that you're not will wound the narcissist, resulting in the ignition of fury. And, at least initially, this will cause the narcissist to try even harder to get a response out of you, meaning you're going to be subjected to more unpleasant behaviours. The narcissist isn't going to shrug and give up at the first instance. Of course, if somehow you maintain that you're not having anything to do with them whilst being in the same house, eventually the narcissist will have no option other than to withdraw as the third assertion of control, the assertion of control through withdrawal. But they will then, after a period of time, try again, and therefore you will find yourself becoming exhausted as you are subjected to repeated hoover after hoover after hoover as you try to reduce your involvement with the narcissist. You cannot make it zero because you're in the same house as the narcissist, and thus it will wear you down. You also run the risk, by continuing the involvement, that with your surging emotional thinking, and the narcissist may well use benign manipulations towards you, that you think, oh, we've turned a corner, everything's turned out all right. In actual fact, I've somehow managed to make them change their ways. Yes, this is the deluded impact of emotional thinking once again. It isn't something that is going to be appropriate. Staying with the narcissist is only ever going to result in those problems that I've explained for you. Some individuals believe that they will get the upper hand over the narcissist, that they have the measure of the narcissist, that they're able to manipulate the narcissist to get what they want. That again is emotional thinking. You cannot control that which must not be controlled. The narcissist may go along with something that you want, not because you've made the narcissist do it, but because it suits the narcissist to do so. And there will be instances where the narcissist will control you through agreement. That again is a slippery slope, causing you to believe that you caused that outcome to come about, and you actually haven't. The only instances where you can guarantee making the narcissist do something is through the utilization of the law. And in the context of staying with the narcissist, there is little that the law will do in terms of allowing there to be a harmonious relationship between the two of you, because invariably the law will be used to keep you apart. There are some rare instances where injunctions or restraining orders might be made where two people remain in the same home, whereby the person who is made the subject of the injunction has to refrain from certain behaviour. They can be near you, but they're not allowed to behave in a particular way. But more usually, such injunctions are granted along with an order which causes the offender to be removed from the home of the victim and to stay away. Similarly, if you want to utilise the law in relation to a difficult neighbour, for instance, that they're refusing to cut down some vegetation which is imposing on your property, you go to law to compel that to be done because they won't agree to doing it. If you're dealing with a relative who won't give you money that's owed, you can again utilise the law to make that come about. But you're not going to be able to use the law to stop them making a scene at every birthday party they turn up to. Accordingly, in circumstances where you use the law, you ought to do so from a distance away from the narcissist, where you have ended the relationship and you're simply using the law as an arm's length basis for achieving some kind of outcome. For instance, going through a divorce, sorting out child access arrangements, the recovery of property or money, the use of a restraining order. The fact is that no matter what tells you that somehow you can manage staying with the narcissist, you can stay with the narcissist, but you're not going to have a successful outcome. You're not going to find yourself in a satisfactory place. And if you continue to tell yourself, oh, I can manage this quite successfully, you are being duped by your emotional thinking. The fact is, you will continue to suffer the downsides that I mentioned earlier. And the only way that you can avoid experiencing them is as a consequence of the application of GOSO. That is what you should aim for. Do not allow yourself to be duped by your emotional thinking into believing that you can stay with the narcissist and do so successfully. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.